Hmm. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Good deal. Yo, what is up? What is up? Tuesday, October the 27th. We are just a few days away now from Halloween. So, what's up? I don't know if you guys are big Halloween guys or what have you, but hope you're all doing well here on this Tuesday, this bye week Tuesday. Obviously, a lot to talk about Tuesday, presser day. I was actually really surprised to see that supposedly Will Muschamp is having a presser today. At least from what I see on YouTube, I see the live video pending. Again, I'm assuming he is speaking to the media. We'll try to figure that out right now. I don't know, because I don't see anything on social media. I guess we're going to find out. Yeah. Here we go. You know what? I think they got the date wrong because it says October the 27th on here. Oh, yep, that's it. Schedule for November the 3rd. Okay, so there is no presser today. All right, so we'll just be talking normal then, taking your questions, comments, calls as well. 843-790-3377. I'll put the number in here if you guys do want to call in. So yeah, so YouTube had it, or South Carolina's YouTube had it wrong. They have 10/27/20 in the date in the description, but you can see it says scheduled for November the 3rd, 2020. So there is no Muschamp media today. So again, I'll just be taking your questions, comments as a normal day is concerned. So yeah, you guys feel free to call in. I will open up the phone lines here. I'll take it off Do Not Disturb. There we go. Take this off. Take this off. Okay. Phone lines are open up. Okay. Again, taking your questions, comments, calls, guys. What do you want to talk about today? Again, we are in a bye week. We can still talk about South Carolina LSU if you want. Obviously, the show dropped this morning. Alex McGrath and I breaking down the 52-24 loss. Going from the looks like we already got a call, so we'll fire it up here on the phone lines. Aaron. Yo, Aaron, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's going on, man? I just wanted to call and give a few points.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's going on with this program?
Yeah.
Listen, this is what it all boils down to. Is what is a Gamecocks fan expectation? And when Will Muschamp was hired, what was the expectation for the Will Muschamp hire?
Mm-hmm.
What did we expect?
Right.
And then secondly, and I know this is a rookie tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy couldn't get it done at Florida with their resources. Seriously, did we seriously think he could come to South Carolina with less resources as far as recruiting, with less resources as far as a name brand, and really get it done?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this. Yeah, not to cut you off, I was just going to say I talked about this today a little bit on Twitter because I saw the discussion. Jay Phillips of 107.5 The Game, he was having it. And I mean, I've said it for a couple of years now that I think it's, I think in a program like South Carolina, obviously there are challenges. Like you said, you don't have the resources and the tradition and stuff like a school like a Florida does or Georgia or even really what Clemson's built at this point, unfortunately. But I think it's very realistic at South Carolina with the fan support you have, with the talent around you. I mean, I think there's enough talent in the state and the surrounding states, and definitely the resources now with the upgrades in facilities. You have a beautiful stadium that you pack out. You have a great university, great campus, everything else. I think it's realistic to set the expectations for this program. I don't know. Like, I think this can be an 8 to 9 win per year program, and say every 2 or 3, maybe 4, but every 2 or 3 years, we'll say you either have a veteran laden team, or you have the right quarterback, or you have a favorable schedule, or whatever, what might have you. You catch lightning in a bottle, whatever it is, and you compete to go to Atlanta. Like, I think that's very realistic. As far as expectations for the program. And again, I don't think that's putting unrealistic expectations. Like, I think if fans are expecting to recapture what Steve Spurrier did and go 11-2 3 straight years, that may be a little unrealistic, but there's no reason why South Carolina football shouldn't be at least, like, at minimum in a bad year, winning 7 games. I really think that's realistic in my opinion. So
yeah, I get that. I get that. And you said you were talking about South Carolina's recruiting resources. And they do have it. Like, South Carolina produces a lot of NFL talent. And they do have a great footprint. They have North Carolina, Georgia, Florida right there. But if there are 10 recruits who the other schools want, like, South Carolina is going to get their share. You've already noticed that.
Right.
Will Muschamp's a decent enough recruiter for South Carolina to get their share. But more times than not, they're going to go to the big dogs. I'm going on and on, but man, Colin Hill, this is all I'm saying. They go on to Colin Hill. Ryan Hilinski can do the dink and dunk, freaking hide the ball type offense. He doesn't freaking throw the ball, rarely ever pass the line of scrimmage. So I don't see where he's at. He's been steady. He's been better than I thought, but he's not going to go out and win you a game.
Right. And I think that's where I was just going to say, I think that's where most fans' frustrations come from. We talked about that on the podcast that dropped today, and I really do get it. I mean, I get it just in the sense that, I think his floor is higher than most, but his ceiling is so low. And so you're just not going to get anything flashy, or like you said, I don't think. And I will say, because again, the quarterback is the easiest guy to blame. And listen, I think it deserves a conversation for sure. But I will say too that, like, looking at what he's working with, the receiving core he has to work with, I mean, the pass blocking as far as the offensive line, and that I said it again on social media this morning. To me, if you're going to give another quarterback serious reps, I mean, I understand people clamoring for Ryan Hilinski, but I hate to throw him out there as a true freshman, but I'd love to see Luke Doty, because Luke Doty brings a dynamic that neither Colin nor Ryan possess, which is the mobility. And with how bad you've been in pass blocking, again, I hate to thrust a true freshman out there and, tell him to go do the damn thing. But at the same time, Luke Doty presents a new dynamic for your offense. I think he could actually make the offense exciting versus where, Ryan, maybe he has a little more moxie in the pocket, or, I saw somebody try to say he's more mobile. I mean, I would not call Ryan Hilinski a mobile quarterback at any stretch. So, again, I hate to thrust a true freshman out there and Luke Doty. I will say this. Both guys need to see reps in some capacity. And I'm not sure that they will, because we've seen Will Muschamp be really, really stingy with the quarterback position. I mean, you saw it when Jake Bentley was at South Carolina and you had Michael Scarnecchia behind him. And even after Scarnecchia played well, even in games where you're getting blown out or whatever, we didn't see Scarnecchia play at all. So I would tell Carolina fans, don't hold your breath. Don't bank on a quarterback change or anything like that. Because I just, you got to think about it. Mike Bobo is not going to jump ship because his guy had one bad game. There's just no way. I mean, I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the quarterback talk is almost a little exhausting, because I don't disagree with you at all that, it's frustrating because Colin Hill is so painfully average. And I agree with you. He's been better than I think most of us expected. But I think if fans are holding their breath for a quarterback change, at least right now, they're going to be sorely disappointed. Like, I think Colin Hill is the starting quarterback against Texas A&M. I think there's no question. So,
yeah, that dink and dunk, hide the ball shit ain't gonna work, man. That's just killing yourself slowly. Have a good day, man.
Yeah, man.
I ain't gonna take up all your time.
No, you're fine, man. I appreciate the call. Appreciate the thoughts for sure. Appreciate it. No, good call. And he had some good points, and I definitely agree. I definitely understand where fans are coming from with wanting a quarterback change and wanting to see some changes and stuff like that. I just think that, again, I ran the poll and 1,500 people voted. So if you did, I appreciate the interaction and everything else. 1,500 people voted. And if you did not see this, I'll pull it up on Twitter really quickly. Let's see. Here we go. Let me get the exact numbers for you guys. Let's see. Here we go. My poll was, who should be the Gamecocks starting quarterback against Texas A&M? So the next game, right after the bye week. 42% of you said Ryan Hilinski. 30% said Luke Doty. And 28% said Colin Hill. So Colin Hill coming in last. Again, my thing is this. I don't dislike Ryan. I like Ryan a lot. What he's done for South Carolina, what he did last year, obviously battling through the injury. I was kind of looking forward to this year seeing a healthy Ryan Hilinski. But here's the thing again. What does Ryan do that Colin doesn't do? Like, really, though? What does he do? What does he offer in his arsenal and his skill set that Colin Hill does not offer? That's my biggest thing. At least with Luke Doty, I look at Luke and say, okay, he is a dual-threat quarterback. He is a mobile quarterback. He can get outside the pocket. I mean, listen, if Kentucky can win 7 or 8 games with Lynn Bowden at QB, why can't South Carolina win games with Luke Doty? That answer me that. All right. Yo, Savannah, what's going on?
What's up, Chris? How's it going?
It's pretty good. How are you?
Hey, so good. Yeah, long-time supporter of the show. I've never called in. I know that I was just watching, so hopefully I'm not beating a dead horse here. But
no, you're fine.
I'm concerned because, obviously LSU, they took the bye week. They schemed up some things. They pressured Hill almost every down, it seemed like. And I guess something that's lingering with me that's a huge concern. I don't know if you would agree, but do you consider the fact that maybe every single team we play the rest of the year is going to look at that film and they know now what they can do to completely just shut down our offense, if you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about that on the show that came out today. I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of – it sounds kind of bad. I think the book is written on South Carolina, though. And the thing that kind of worries me, I guess, going in the second half of the season is, I don't really know what's going to change with this team or, how much better they're really going to get. Because at this point, you're 5 weeks through and you still don't have a number 2 option at wide receiver. So, at this point, it's some dude the light bulb's going to click on in week 7 or 8. I mean, there are many knowns with this team as far I feel like the book is sort of written. Yeah, if I am a fan of another team and I'm previewing a game against South Carolina, yeah, my thoughts as far as, okay, this is what our defense needs to do. We need to load the box and stop the run. We need to double up Shi Smith. If we get South Carolina in passing downs, 3rd and 6 or longer, I would say, pin your ears back and go. Blitz the heck out of Colin Hill. Again, continue to account for Shi Smith. But, yeah, again, I think the book is well written on South Carolina because, again, Colin Hill, 3 ACL surgeries, and I've said that he's played fairly well, especially when you consider what expectations were, I guess, coming in the season. But, yeah, I mean, Colin has shown, and the pass blocking has been shoddy as it is. But here's the thing, and this is why, again, I'm not even saying Colin Hill's not sort of the best option we have right now, but I think that's why it's so valuable in football or at the college game to have a dual threat mobile quarterback, because defenses and defensive linemen and linebackers and just the athletes these teams have on defense, they're too good to make it obvious you're throwing the ball because they're going to pin their ears back and go. And just at some point, you're not going to be able to stop them. Your defensive linemen are better athletes than the offensive linemen. So, I mean, if you make it obvious you're passing, and I know as a defensive end or a linebacker, they're 100% going to throw the ball here, and I can just pin my ears back and bull rush these guys. And Colin has shown, and I don't know if it comes back to maybe he's got a lack of awareness, but I think it probably comes back to having 3 ACL surgeries and being a little gun shy. If you get pressure in his face, he's going to go down. There's just no way to put it. He's going to cave under the pressure. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, as far as you're talking about your fears with this team, I mean, for sure, the Texas A&M, Ole Miss, the rest of the team South Carolina plays, they're definitely going to look at that film and go off it. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's I don't think we run some complex scheme offensively. I mean, we're going to, and I like that we have an identity. I like for the first time in a while we've had an identity, but the identity is we're going to go into a game, try to run, we're going to try to establish a run with Kevin Harris. And I think just what you saw Saturday, we're just not built to compete in a game where we get down 2 or 3 scores. We're just not. We're not going to win a shootout. Like we need to muddy up a game, make it sort of sloppy, and win 27-24, or 30-27. And I mean, again, it's crazy. I never thought I would be saying we'd be scoring 30 points in a game this year because I really had low expectations for the offense. But if we get into a scenario where we're down 2 or 3 scores and we kind of have to throw the ball, I think it's going to get ugly, like you saw Saturday. We're just not built for that. We don't have enough weapons. So, yeah, again, long-winded answer. But, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, maybe some things can change over the bye week. But I guess that was my biggest thing as far as everybody's wanting to talk quarterback right now, and I totally understand because Colin didn't play great, even though when you look at his stats, they were very much on par with what he's done this year. But, he didn't play great. And my biggest thing is if you change quarterbacks and you go with Ryan Helinski, you don't change the dynamic of the offense. Like I still think you're kind of doing the same thing. If you go to,
I'm with you.
Go ahead.
With you. I don't think Ryan and Colin are two guys on the same foot. I say, or whatever the saying is. But
right.
I'm totally with you. And I've liked Hill. I haven't had any qualms with Hill. I think he's been playing really well. But I guess a second part of my question is: do you think that if the next few games, if we're getting in the same situation where he's, getting sacked, almost every down and we're just getting backed up, do we trust Bobo enough to make adjustments and maybe make a change? Or do you think we're just going to be like, nope, this is it. Like this season's a wash?
I think I'll tell you this because it's all fun. Anytime, selfishly, I love when quarterback because it's great content. People love to talk quarterback. They love to do it's the most polarizing position on the field. Until you have that guy, like you have a Connor Shaw where it's no doubt who QB1 is, it's always a conversation and the backup quarterback is the most popular man on campus. I will tell you this, Bo. I think fans that are holding their breath for a QB change, Colin Hill will have to play miserably bad. Like I just told the last guy, like I don't think Mike Bobo. I know I would like to say I know Mike Bobo is not about to jump ship from Colin Hill because of one bad game. When I had Colton Gauthier on the show, who's obviously commit, that's a quarterback, whatever. He told me that right before that show, he actually talked to Bobo, and again, this was a few weeks ago, but he told me that Bobo was very happy with the way Colin was playing, and that they need to develop pass catchers, they need to develop wide receivers. So I don't think Mike Bobo is going to look at the South Carolina offense and point to Colin Hill as the number one reason why it's struggling. So, unless there's an injury, and God forbid that happens, knock on wood it doesn't, or unless Colin Hill is just playing miserably bad, I don't see a quarterback change happening. I just don't. I don't, because I think Colin Hill's going to do enough to keep the job. I do. I think there's going to be different, flashes in this last 5 games where, again, he's going to be painfully average like the rest of this team is. And I hate to say that, but that's kind of what you're going to get from Colin. But I understand the frustrations because he does nothing to wow you. He does nothing to wow you. He does nothing to stand out, if you will. So I understand the frustrations, but I would tell fans, he's going to be the starting quarterback against Texas A&M. Now, again, will Bobo be willing to come off that? And again, I'm not saying for Will Muschamp and Mike Bobo to be Steve Spurrier and rotate quarterbacks out every series, but yeah, I think it'd be nice to every 3 or 4 drives. Like, why not get Luke Doty in there? Get Ryan in there. I don't care. Like, just change a pace.
Or something. Yeah.
Just change up the pace a little bit. And especially, I definitely understand fans' frustration when you're down 28 points and you don't even see another guy come in. I don't understand it. Because you can tell us how great Luke has looked in practice and how great he's done in practice, but practice is just that. It's practice. Like, get him in a game. Let him get in a game scenario. Let's see what he does on the field in a game scenario. Why not? So, long story short, though, I don't see a quarterback change coming again unless Colin Hill just literally throws away the job, which I think he's shown, though, he's not going to do that. So, I think it's probably going to be the Colin Hill show for the rest of the year. I could be wrong, but yeah, again, it's fun to talk about, but really what's going to happen, I think it's Colin Hill's job. So,
yeah, like I said, I don't mind Hill. I'm just concerned that now everyone's going to know exactly what they need to do and just take him out the game. So that's why I'm just concerned. But I think just feed Harris. He's a beast. I think we could, honestly, if we wouldn't have gone away with it, who knows what would have happened. But Yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate you taking the call. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Savannah, appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, like I was just telling her, I would tell you guys. I hate to say it, unfortunately, I think the book is written on South Carolina. I think the book is written. If I'm Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Georgia, or Kentucky, and I'm taking on South Carolina, here's my game plan. Defensively, we're going to commit to stopping the run. We're going to win first and second down as far as not letting Kevin Harris eat up yardage and beat us. And hey, we go into a game thinking that Kevin's going to get his. Kevin Harris has shown he's an extremely capable back, and he's going to get his yardage. But we're going to try to get South Carolina in third and longs, and when we do, we are going to blitz the hell out of Colin Hill. And we know, there's not enough weapons on the outside for South Carolina to beat us. We're going to account for Shi Smith, but we're going to pressure Colin Hill, and we know if we do that, we're going to be able to get to him more times than not. We're going to be able to get after him. Offensively, if I'm going against South Carolina, my game plan is very simple. Run defense is weak. We're going to establish the running game. And in the passing game, we're going to stay away from J.C. Horn at all costs. We're going to pick on everyone else not named J.C. Horn. So again, I think the book is well written on this team. I think the book is very, very well written. Because if you look at the Auburn game, I'm not trying to take away what you did against Auburn. I mean, granted, give the guys credit. You got the W. But if Auburn would have just simply committed to the run and not thrown it J.C. Horn's way, they probably win that football game. They actually definitely win that football game. So, again, I think the book is well written. How much can really change over the course of the bye week? We'll have to see. Josh, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Not much. How are you?
Pretty good. Well, I mean, could be better, obviously, after that loss on Saturday.
Right. No, for sure.
No, man, I want to talk about Coach Muschamp, and I hope he's listening to this. I mean, I'm like you. I don't think that he goes off of what he hears necessarily on the internet, but I mean, he needs to hear it, man.
Right.
Florida game, 9 minutes that last drive. We had a shot at that game, but he just let that drive drag out. This past, I mean, he acts to me like he is super comfortable in his job. He ain't got nothing to worry about, and you would think that he was Nick Saban.
Right. No, right. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that we've seen it. We saw it Tennessee, and I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt again the Tennessee game, but kicking a field goal with 4 minutes left, that was obviously a highly criticized move. The Florida game speaks for itself, and then again at LSU, kicking the field goal down 31-10, about to go to halftime. I mean, again, like you said, I don't think – I mean, listen, I think they hear more than you think. I think they see more than people think as far as social media and stuff like that. But certainly, yeah, I don't think Will Muschamp is making in-game decisions based off of how he thinks Twitter or social media will react. But, yeah, my whole point was I just wonder if Muschamp ever sits there and just – in that scenario, like, I know – what people are expecting me to do. Why don't I try something different and surprise people just once? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think he's thinking about social media in game, but my Lord, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that was my biggest point after the Florida game. And I know things kind of calmed down and got better after you won back-to-back games and you got some feel good back in your system. But, the thing that really jumped out to me was the Florida game, burning 7.5 almost minutes on that last drive. And it wasn't even, I mean, obviously doing that was baffling, but Muschamp's continuing defending of that decision to me was what stood out as more baffling in the sense that, I mean, he's never going to change. This is who he is. I mean, he is who he is. And I think for people to expect, and that's why I'll say it here. And I said it on Eric Kimry's show when I talked to him. I hope Will Muschamp's here in 10 years because that means he won football games. And I hope that he proves to me that he's this SEC championship caliber head coach at some point. But I think for people to expect that and to think that's going to happen, I don't see where they're coming from. Like, I don't see what context clues give you the indication that, he just needs a few more years and you guys will see that he is that guy. What tells you that? I mean, because I'd love to know, is there something I'm missing? Is there some piece to the puzzle that I'm not factoring in? Because I think I have to think in my mind, even the people that are still on Muschamp's wagon and think he should be the head coach for another 3-4 years and, give him time. I think even those people know in their heart of hearts, he's not going to get us to Atlanta. I think it more so comes back to they just don't want to see a coaching change after 5 years or something. I don't know. I think that has to be the dynamic because there's just no way any logical, sane person with a brain could look at our football program and look at Will Muschamp, not even our program, because I think our program, I like our program. I like our facilities and our everything we have to offer as a program. But look at the person leading our program, and no sane human being could say, oh, that program is just trending in the right direction. They'll be an SEC East contender or a SEC title contender in 3 or 4 years. Just no way. I mean, there's just no way. So I think the ceiling with Will Muschamp as head coach of South Carolina is probably an 8 wins, which that would be a huge success, I guess you could say. But I think that's probably the ceiling. And I mean, that's winning 7 or 8 in a season would be great, especially I guess when you look at South Carolina standards, quote unquote, if you will. But I mean, to me, my ultimate thing is if the goal is not to get to Atlanta, if that's not really the goal, then what are you doing? I mean, and again, people might scoff at that, but I'd like to think the expectations and the culture and the standard, like DJ Swearinger talked about, the standard has changed. It's not what it used to be. It's not the 90s anymore. Like we're not happy with going 6-6 every year or just barely competing, squeaking by to get to a bowl game. I mean, I remember 2004. This was very early in my South Carolina fandom. I remember, though, when South Carolina beat Arkansas to get to 6 wins, it was like we won the Super Bowl. Like, oh, my God, we're going to a bowl game. And now, year 3 of Muschamp, you win 7 games, and you felt like we had a bad year. That's not a bad thing, though. That means the expectations have been risen. The standard has been risen for sure. So, again, long-winded answer for you, but I just – again, when it comes back to Muschamp, I don't know how people can look at it without, and it's not a knock. It's not a slight. It's just, I think, a fact. He is who he is. He is who he is at this point. I mean, year 9 as a head coach, I equated it to the whole dating thing. And I know it's funny and it's like a joke, but you take a girl out on a date 8 times and she's a piece of crap. What do you expect the 9th time, the 10th time, the 11th time? Like, it is what it is at this point. So, hey, if I would say this to South Carolina's athletic administration, if I need to change my expectations for South Carolina football, if I need to just be happy with 6 or 7 wins a year or 5, just barely getting to 500, just let me know. So I stop spending money to go to games. So I stop having unrealistic expectations because in my mind, every move, every decision should be made off of winning. And let's say South Carolina goes to my prediction. They go 3-7. I know with COVID and the economic stuff, but the decision to bring back Will Muschamp will tell me you don't really care about winning all that much. That's what it's going to tell the fan base.
Absolutely.
So that's just my opinion. And, maybe I'll be wrong in the long run and Will Muschamp the light bulb will eventually click on. But again, I mean, it's year 9. How much is he really going to evolve as a head coach from this point? I like to think he just is who he is. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if your expectation is to go to Atlanta, obviously it's playoff expectations as well, because obviously whoever wins the SEC is going to go to the playoffs every year. There's no doubt about that. And then you've got, I mean, he blew it at Florida, huge. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator at Auburn. Obviously, they didn't cover him that much. And I hear a lot of people talk about how Muschamp's a defensive guru. I think he used to be. I think these new spread offenses, I don't think he's ready for them. I don't think his expertise is geared for them. I think he is more for an I formation type coach. I think he's good at stopping. I think he was good with the old school stuff. But then you throw this new school stuff into it. I mean, like, and not to mention what they're doing up there at Clemson does not help the hotness of his seat at all either. Our in-state rival is competing for the national championship every year while we're getting drugged through the mud based off of some of his stupid decisions. That makes the urgency, like, in my opinion, 10 times worse, because not only do we want to beat the crap out of them, which we haven't done one time with him, but they're also going out here and holding up championship trophies, beating some of our in-conference elite teams, and there's no excuse for this. I mean, I'm sorry, but Muschamp's been there for 5 years. His recruits have had time to get in place. I mean, he's and it's like he's scared to make a decision. Same deal with Jake Bentley. I think Bobby Bentley coming to the team, I think he's brought some good things, but I think Muschamp almost felt obligated to leave Jake Bentley in that position no matter how many picks he threw. And right now, it seems like he's right back in the same position with Colin Hill again.
Yeah, he hitches his wagon. He hitches his wagon. That is for sure. Yeah, I mean, kind of getting back, I'm kind of backtracking, but getting back like the expectations thing. I'm not even saying that, if Will Muschamp wins less than 10 games and we don't go to like it's a bad year, but like I told somebody earlier, I think it's very realistic to say South Carolina could be an 8 to 9 win a year program in every 2 or 3 years. Realistically, compete to go to Atlanta. I don't think that's that far fetched.
Right.
I really don't think that's asking that much. But yeah, I mean, I just because I still see some people, and somebody made a funny comment. And I definitely said this on Twitter before that I think that if you're still on Will Muschamp's jock at this point, you're either on his payroll, you're either on his payroll, you're blindly loyal, or you just lack a functioning brain. You're one of those three things. But I mean, yeah, man, I and I think it's South Carolina too. You mentioned like his style and stuff. I think it's South Carolina to get to the point I'm saying, to be an 8 to 9 win a year program and compete to go to Atlanta. You cannot be, you got to be creative. You got to think outside the box, because listen, South Carolina's not pulling in top 5 classes. Like you're not. So you got to think outside the box a little bit. You need to have a mobile quarterback. I do think you probably need to run spread. Like, you need to be unorthodox. You need to take risks and be aggressive. Like, you have to. You just have to. And, yeah, I mean, we talk about Will Muschamp's recruiting, and I think the bigger issue is player development. Because, again, I talk about, the defense. And in year 5, the defense, again, I'm not trying to take away what South Carolina did against Auburn or whatever. Like, those guys went out there, J.C. Horn went out there, made the plays, stuff like that. But outside of that one, and it reminds us a lot of the Georgia game last year. I mean, outside of that day where that was the J.C. Horn show, and Auburn for some reason just outsmarted themselves really and threw at J.C. Horn. I mean, the defense has been very suspect this year. And again, you dominated Vandy, but it's Vandy. But the defense has been suspect. And I just think to myself, you look at the guys on the defense and you look at the star ratings, and I think there's talent on the defensive side. What's the disconnect? Because again, when people want to come at me for attacking or, criticizing the coaching or whatever, listen, it's either coaching or it's players. Like, one of what is it? Are the players not being put in the best possible position? Is player development not there? Or do the players just stink? Like, pick one. Because I don't think any South Carolina fan wants to sit here and say the players aren't good. And I don't believe the players on defense aren't good. I think there are good players. And that's the big thing too is
son.
Yeah. I mean,
Deion Sanders' son coming to our school. I mean, come on, it can't be that bad.
And the biggest thing too is that the thing that I would like to see with the next head coach, and I think a quality the next head coach has to have. Listen, Steve Spurrier didn't recruit at a top 10 clip at South Carolina. He didn't. He didn't. And it's like Swearinger said when I talked to him, stars have never been the standard. And somebody else phrased it perfectly. And I'll say this. With Steve Spurrier, it felt like guys were always good to play for a star higher than their recruiting ranking said. So DJ Swearinger was a 3-star. He didn't play like a 3-star. He played like at least a 4-star. Connor Shaw was a 3-star. He played like a 4. Dylan Thompson, heck, was a 2-star. I mean, Steve Spurrier was really good at taking the guys on his roster. And again, he brought in some elite talent. I mean, Alshon, Marcus Lattimore, J.D. Clowney. I mean, everybody knows. But it just seemed like Spurrier was able to get the most out of his guys, and it feels like Will Muschamp is doing the least with the most. Right. It feels like the guys we bring in, they play a star ranking lower than what they are. They don't live up to the hype, it feels like. Any of them. None of them. And I don't know if that's a culture thing, if that is I don't know what that is. But I look at Mark Stoops, and fans got really upset when I said this in the offseason, that Mark Stoops is everything Will Muschamp is not. Because Mark Stoops, Kentucky hasn't had good recruiting classes. Like, nobody's going to – they're like 50th. I mean, they've had some okay classes. They've gotten some decent commits, but Kentucky has built something in the sense they bring guys in that fit their culture, fit their style. They're willing to think outside the box, and Mark Stoops develops the guys on his roster. Will Muschamp is getting top 20 talent. Right. And Will Muschamp's getting top 20 talent and doing nothing with it. I look at why is every other school Their 5 stars are ready to play off the jump. They're ready to contribute, and they do. And we've got guys like Zach Pickens and Jordan Birch, and they get on campus, and I know Birch has made some nice plays, but they get on campus and they're not ready to go. They're not ready to play. Why is that? What is the disconnect there? I just don't understand. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, 100. I mean, as far as quarterback goes, I'm all for Joyner quarterback. And if you follow what he did in high school,
Right.
that boy's just a playmaker. Bottom line.
Yeah, I feel
he's gonna make plays.
I kind of feel bad for a guy like Dak Joyner, and again, I hope Gunnar Stockton comes here. I hope South Carolina brings in tons of elite talent. But I'll be totally honest with you, when Gunnar Stockton committed, I was talking to a buddy of mine off record about this, and I was just saying, like, you know, if my son was a 5-star quarterback, he was the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the country, why would I let him go play for a Will Muschamp coach team? And I mean, I hate to say that because it's not like I don't want to get Gunnar. I'll tell you this, though. The thing that scares me the most about getting Gunnar is, again, he's a 5-star player, number 1 dual threat. Are we going to get that out of him? Are we going to pull that out of him? Or is he just going to be another guy that falls short of expectations? We mishandle his talent and we don't get the most out of him. I mean, look, again, like you said, look at Dak Joyner. I feel bad for Dak. I can't imagine he's going to go through his college career, a guy who has superior athleticism and has talent, and he's going to be he's going to be a forgotten guy, and that's a shame. That's just a shame, really. I feel for him. So
yeah, I mean, he told them coming through the door that he did not want to be recruited as anything except a quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, he was very, very passionate about that. They're lucky that he's even still out there with them right now, to be honest with you, because there's another school that could give him a shot at quarterback. When he was at Fort Dorchester, he passed for thousands of yards on top of rushing for thousands of yards.
Right.
And as far as Stockton goes, you know as well as I do, he's going to catch that red shirt his first year, no matter how good he is under Muschamp.
Yeah. I mean, again, it worries me because, again, I've seen the comments. Some people say, you know, you can't fire Muschamp and Bobo because you'll lose Gunnar Stockton. Well, first off, keeping a bad head coach is not worth 1 recruit. I don't give a damn who he is. I don't care if it's Jadeveon Clowney.
No.
One recruit is not worth keeping a bad head coach. But again, the second thing is, like I said, I just fear that you're not going to develop them. You're not going to get the most. Hey, Ryan Linsky was a 4-star, close to a 5-star coming out of high school. What happened to him? I mean, I fear the same fate for Gunnar Stockton, and I don't want to see it. And I tell people, you know, if that's your biggest fear, you'll lose Gunnar. I would say, you know, he's got a close relationship with the Shaw family too. I would have Connor Shaw talk to him after you make the move and just say, hey, we did this for you. We did this because we feel like you're a guy. We want you to be here 3 years and go to the NFL. We feel like you're that capable of a player. We want you to take us to Atlanta and get us to an SEC championship, and we want to put you in the best possible position to make that happen. From there, the kid is going to make his decision, whatever, but you just, again, you can't, you just can't. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I just don't think that, you know, anything's going to change. So, I mean, it's.
I hear Colin Hill has an extra year of eligibility. Is that true?
Well, so this year doesn't count for anybody. So, I mean, this entire team could come back. So, yeah, I mean.
So is it possible that we're sitting here looking at him for another season underneath Muschamp again?
I mean, it's in here.
It's unreal.
It's possible. I'll say this: a lot changes in college football in a very short amount of time. So who knows? I'll say that. Who knows? I would like to think that by next year, a guy like Luke Doty would be ready. You know what I mean? And
I would hope so.
Again,
I got a 3-headed monster.
I'm not trying to push out Ryan or anything. But again, it's like I said earlier. If you're going to give another quarterback a serious look, if you want to get Ryan there, see what he does, cool. But I just feel like Ryan's not going to change the dynamic of the offense. Luke Doty will. And the question will come back to, is Mike Bobo more committed to running his system, or is he committed to running a system that best fits the talent he has on the roster? Because I think to myself, of an RPO Doty and Kevin Harris or Doty and Deshaun Finn. And I like what I see there. Yeah. Like, I like that thought. I do. Or even a Dak Joyner. Like, I just, again, I think at South Carolina, you need to be creative, and having a mobile quarterback is going to help you do that. It's going to help you be more exciting. especially like I said, if you get to the point where the season is a quote unquote wash, like if you lose to Texas A&M and you move to 2-4, and why not? I mean, what do you have to lose? What are you playing for at that point? You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, and we've got a bye week this week. We should be well prepared for them. That's just, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I appreciate the call, man. Appreciate the questions for sure. Really good stuff.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, man. Take care. Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, it's a lot to unpack here on a Tuesday, and I appreciate you guys calling in all your questions, comments. If you guys do want to continue to call in, 843-790-3377. Let's see here. Tyler Knoll says the issue is player development, which falls on the coaching staff not being able to get the most out of their abilities. Champ's got to go. Owen Doty needs to be QB1 for a variety of different reasons. The main one is he's mobile, and that's invaluable. Adds a whole different dimension to the offense, which I don't think Bobo knows how to coach a dual-threat quarterback. Doty spins the ball well also. I mean, again, like I said, if you're going to go to anybody else, I think that's got to be the move. But again, and I I hate to burst the bubble. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're going to see South going to continue to roll with – and listen, this is the thing too. The biggest reason South Carolina lost Saturday night against LSU was not Colin Hill. As average as he played, as pedestrian as it was, that's not the number one reason they lost. Look at the defense. I mean, hey, take away the pick six, take away the kickoff return. You still gave up 38 points to a true freshman. They didn't punt once. That's a problem. That's an issue. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here. We got Alex. Yo, Alex, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Chris? How you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Got a quick question. After watching the first 5 games, I noticed it over the past couple of seasons. And going back to the last caller, what he said, what y'all said about Muschamp being a defensive guru, I honestly think it's not even true anymore with the way offenses are ran nowadays. And just watching our DBs playing off of LSU guys at least 10 yards. I mean, them hitting the quick slants and everything, that's a first down right there every time.
You know, you make a really good point, too, by the way, which is something that maybe I haven't even thought about, is that, you know, Will Muschamp's calling card has been defense. He's been thought as a defensive guy, blah, 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 whatever. And this is when he was like back at LSU and then Texas. Think of how much offenses have evolved since he was at Texas. Like, I'm just curious. Like, I haven't went back and watched, you know, film of his defenses at Texas or, you know, what, but like, how much, if at all, has Will Muschamp's defensive philosophy evolved since he was labeled a defensive guru, right? Like, I'm just curious because you do make a good point that, you know, he was labeled this defensive guy, but offenses are not the same as they used to be. Again, I don't want to make any – I'm not in the building and I'm not in the meeting room, and I don't want to make these major assumptions that, like, he hasn't adapted to the times because you would have to think at some degree they have. But it is a good point you bring up. That's a very good point. It's interesting.
Right, and then with Spurrier back in the 90s, he brought in the air raid offense into the SEC and threw it all over the field against everybody, and no one knew how to defend it.
Right. And Spurrier, to his credit, he evolved greatly at South Carolina. He went to having a dual threat quarterback. You saw with Savell Newton and obviously Steven Garcia and then Connor Shaw. Like, he knew you need a guy that can do both. So you even saw and Spurrier went from a, you know, a fun and gun, cock and fire, throw it all over the field to he depended on running game and defense at South Carolina. I mean, people can, you know, again, people think back to all throwing it, but I mean, you think to South Carolina, what were they best at? The defense was electric and the running game was spectacular. And that's why South Carolina won games. So,
you know, I've always been, for the past 4 or 5 years now, I've been a Muschamp, been behind him 100%. But now, after Saturday night, I'm done. Get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, again, it's going to be a really interesting second half of the year. But yeah, I mean, I just don't know what people are really expecting to change. I feel like it's just a cycle. We're going through the same problems over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think Bob Castlin's the wild card in all of this. How willing is he to pull the trigger and try to make a change and get the ball rolling? So, we'll have to just wait and see, man. That's all we can really do, I guess. So,
All right, well, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for the call, man. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, good call for sure. Again, a lot of you with the same questions, the same comments. Will South kind of be willing to pay the buyout? I have no idea. Brad Voss, let's see, went away. Brad Vale, says, even if Carolina goes 2-8, what is the likelihood of Mustang actually getting fired? Because you still have the money issue. Again, the wild card's Bob Castle, I really don't know what the realistic likelihood of it is. You have to see. I'm not, Christian Carver. Remember one point Will Muschamp was going to succeed Mac Brown at Texas. Texas dodged a bullet with him. Yeah. Renee Benson Seller says Tanner has to go first before we get a new coach. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people feel the same way in that regard. And does Ray Tanner step down at any point? Because I don't think you can fire a legend like Ray Tanner, but does he step down at any point? Step down? I don't know. So, all right, back to the phone lines. Phone lines are hot here on a Tuesday. Let's take this call here. Yo, how's it going, man? You're on the air.
What's up, Chris?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for asking.
I got one quick question. What's the odds of which I think that if our whole team don't turn around, there's gonna be a lot of people doing this. And
Right.
What's the odds of Ryan Helinski transferring?
I mean, I've said it before the season. I think they're pretty high. And this is assuming that Colin Hill can, and like I said earlier in the show, I think Colin will have to just play abysmally bad to lose the job or get hurt. And like I said, I don't want that to happen, knock on wood. I think he'll have to play abysmally bad. If he continues at the pace he's at now and just kind of continues to be the Colin Hill we've seen, he will be the quarterback through the entire season, in my opinion. I mean, again, who knows? Maybe things could change. Maybe Mike Bubba throws as a curveball, but I think Colin Hill will be the quarterback through the end of the season. And if that's the case, I think the odds Ryan transfers are pretty good. They're pretty high. And I mean, here's the thing, and I know fans hate to hear that, but I look at, I mean, what do you want Ryan to do? Sit the bench? I mean, I think he's a kid that wants to play. There's no doubt. And so, I mean, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, man, I think the odds are, and especially too, man, you've got Luke Doty, you got Gunnar Stockton coming in, you got Colton Gauthier coming in. I mean, the writing is going to be kind of on the wall at that point. You know what I mean? So, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
That's like 5 good quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's not really the ending that Ryan Helinski, I know, drew up for himself, and it's not really the ending he probably deserves. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're going to go with the guy that they think gives them the best chance to win, and he's got to do what's best for him too. So I will not fault Ryan Helinski one bit if he decides transferring is his best option. Will not fault him at all.
And I mean, Ryan, and the thing about him is, I mean, him coming in, and I mean, nobody, and if you saw, I mean, nobody would think that we would have all these quarterbacks come in. And when Ryan came in, we thought he was going to be the starter for 4 years, unless he comes back as a fifth-year senior. And we thought that he was going to be that Connor Shaw or our Dylan Thompson, or maybe even Garcia.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, most definitely.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's and that it's funny, man. I think this is probably the Muschamp effect, is like, I don't really people, because people, and I think people understand kind of what my lane is as far as like what I do and the content I create. Like I don't talk recruiting as much as many others, because, and I think one of the reasons, man, is I don't get excited. I don't get that excited over recruiting anymore, because how many guys have come in under Will Muschamp, especially at quarterback, but really at all? How many have come in and truly exceeded expectations? I mean, really though, like, and especially at the quarterback position, like I'm kind of over getting hyped up under Will Muschamp, at least. Like I get excited when a guy like Gunnar Stockton commits, but I'm not about to tout him as he's going to be a Heisman winner, because, what is South Carolina going to get the most out of him? And the answer at this point has to be no. So it doesn't really, unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me anymore when a guy like Ryan Helinski with all the hype and everything comes in. And, you know, I mean, this goes all the way back, man, to Connor Mitch and Brandon McElwain. Like, I mean, ever since Connor Shaw, you know, and really Dylan Thompson left, it's been kind of whatever at quarterback. I mean, you know, so, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for sure.
I mean, I know that the season that we had the battle between Brandon McElwain, and then here comes Jake Bentley. I mean, he comes in as he should have been in high school, and he comes in and plays good, and then.
And it's like Jake regressed over his career. He didn't get better. He regressed.
Oh yeah.
And that's what was so frustrating.
And
so
I know, and he was. I mean, I know Debo was. I mean, in my eyes, Debo should have won Heisman. I mean,
he might have if he stayed healthy. If he stayed healthy that one year, he might have seriously contended for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, any South Carolina fan every year wants to see South Carolina win Heisman, but
right.
Who was really that top prospect coming in and that could have won the Heisman? The only thing that comes to my head is Jadavion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe Connor Shaw. Connor Shaw was our Tom Brady for the Patriots when he was in New England.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Shaw was. He was a GOAT.
Yeah.
He was, but the thing about Bobo is, I really don't see Bobo having the balls to change because, that's all he's known is Colin Hill at quarterback. Colin Hill, because he was, Bobo brought Colin Hill in and put him under his wing, and Colin Hill has basically done what Bobo's needed him to do for the past 4 years at Colorado State. And I just don't see Bobo having the balls to even trying to switch. Because I just think that he's scared that Colin's gonna try to go somewhere else if he don't get to start anymore.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Well, yeah. I don't think I said this earlier. I don't think Bobo is going to jump ship off of his guy because of the LSU game. You know what I mean? Like it's. I think fans that are holding, it's fun to talk backup quarterbacks and the possibilities and stuff like that. But I think fans that are holding their breath as far as a quarterback change, probably going to be disappointed. And the thing I will say this too, especially if you lose to A&M, but I guess what's frustrating is I say that South Carolina is a written book. Like the book has been written, I should say. I say that South Carolina, the book has been written offensively and defensively. Change something up. That cannot be the case. That cannot be the case going in the second half of the season. Like you got to change something up. You just it doesn't have to be major wholesale. I'm not saying you got to bench Colin Hill. He never plays again, but you got to change. You got to mix something up. I think to myself this, and I'm not saying this would have made a difference Saturday night because I think the reason South Carolina lost to LSU again was the defense. I think the defense, as bad as they played, that was the reason. But I'm just looking at South Carolina offensively. Like, for example, a guy like Dak Joyner, every time he's touched the ball this year, it's gone for big yardage. Why are we not making a plan to get him the ball 5, 10 times? Why are we not seeing Wildcat with Joyner and Doty more? Why are we not seeing – get creative a little bit. Like, don't keep doing the same thing. Again, there are constants you don't want to go away from. I love South Carolina's identity of running the football with Kevin Harris, establishing the run, getting the ball to Shi Smith. Those are all fine and dandy. But again, I wouldn't, I'd like to see South Carolina get a little creative. Get a little creative. And then on the defensive side, get aggressive. Muschamp talks about we want to limit the big play. We want to stop the big play. Well, in the process of doing that, you're giving up 5, 10, 15-yard chunks, and you're making a guy like TJ Finley look like a Heisman winner. So that obviously is not working. Get back to the aggressiveness we saw against Auburn. Be aggressive on first and second down. Try to get a team behind the sticks. Roll the dice. I can deal with losing if you roll the dice and you leave it all on the field. what I can't lose is this, or what I can't deal with is losing, and it's this soft, especially defensively. You don't blitz. Something's got to change. We'll see if it does. I appreciate the call, man. We're going to wrap up here in just a couple minutes, but I appreciate the call for sure.
All right, no problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Take care. Yeah, appreciate the calls, guys. Appreciate today you guys being interactive once again. Let's see. Bradley Turner, Hugh Freeze, or Bob Stoops. Believe it or not, I think Freeze. I'd like Freeze. Both would be good, though. Rebel Shaw says, all y'all saying the D could be better. Y'all do realize our D was behind Bama's second in the SEC. Our guys have not helped Champ out either by playing. Champ can't tackle for you or catch the ball for you. So, again, okay, like I said, either coaching or players. So, Rebel Shaw thinks the players suck. That's why that's because it's got to be one or the other, bro. You got to pick one. Got to pick a side. So, Rebel Shaw is saying the players suck. Okay. Fair. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't agree, but that's fine. And again, you're right. Players got to make plays. They can only do so much. They can only do so much to put them in position. But why are guys not making plays in year 5? And I listen, I'm not saying the defense hasn't done some nice things and the third down percentage was great and stuff like that. But realistically, you take away the Vandy game. And you can't take away Auburn, but I'm just saying 3 out of your 5 games, your defense has been average at best. Tennessee, you can't force a single turnover against Jarrett Garantano. Florida, they go up and down the field on you. And then LSU does what LSU does. I mean, there's questions that need to be answered on the defensive side. So, let's see. Jaden Harris, what would it be like if we had this talent but Spurrier at head coach? I mean, I really think this is a 6-win roster. With this schedule and everything, I think it's a 6-win roster. So I think with any other coach, honestly, you'd be able to get that out of them. Again, still a whole second half of the season. You're 2-3. Hell, I had South Carolina at 1-4 at this point. So they've exceeded my expectations actually at this point in the season. So, what can they do with it? Again, A&M is going to be a huge game at home at night. It's going to feel like one of those games you just simply have to have. Ole Miss on the road in Oxford looks tough at their place. Lane Kiffin scheming up. Lane Kiffin against South Carolina secondary is going to be a nightmare. Mizzou looks better than advertised. Kentucky looks worse than advertised, and then Georgia's Georgia. So I'll be curious. What do you guys think, as in closing, because we got about 2.5 minutes left. What do you guys think right now, gun to head, if you had to pick a final record, what is South Carolina going to finish at? What would you pick? What are like your updated predictions for the rest of the season? Because I'll look right now, gun to head. I picked 3-7 before the season. You're 2-3 right now. I think 3-7 probably is it again. It's probably it. Maybe 4-6. It would not shock me because of the inconsistencies of this team. I think Kentucky looks very winnable right now, though. And then Mizzou at home, I'd like to think you'll compete in that one. But I don't know. I feel very comfortable saying 3-7. I do. I feel comfortable saying 3-7. Again, maybe 4-6. Would not shock me. Again, the over-under in Vegas was 3.5. So we're going to be right on that number. Let's see. Yeah, I think 2 more at best. I think 4-6 is the best case scenario. Yerrick Jones, legend, my guy. We're going undefeated. What y'all talking about? Yeah, hey, I love it. Let's go win 5 straight. Why not? It starts with A&M. It's so funny because it's funny how this season worked out in the sense it was broken up into 2 sections. The Tennessee game I said was the most important game of the season. Well, this Texas A&M game is like the Tennessee game in regards to importance for this second half. If you're going to have a successful second half, you've got to beat Texas A&M, in my opinion. Sets up exactly like Tennessee. Night game at home. You got to find a way to beat A&M. Set the tone for the second half of the year. If you're going to come out of it 3-2, You got to beat Texas A&M. You have to beat Texas A&M, find a way to get that game. Again, guys, wrapping up here. We got about 20 seconds left. Go check out the podcast that dropped this morning. Alex McGrath and I breaking down the LSU game. Also, talking about the bye week, what South Carolina needs to work on. You guys stay up to date. Going to be doing some different things later this week because there's no game, obviously, with the bye week, so stay tuned for that, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate everybody that called in. Thank you so much for making the Daily Crow a fun time for me. Wrapping it up here on a Tuesday, guys. We will talk to you tomorrow, 12 to 1. You guys take care and have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks.